Hello everyone, Rich from Mode. Welcome to this week's video. We're reviewing some machinery actually that GenPower have sent us. Sent us a few Hyundai bits we're going to be testing over the next few weeks. And today we're going to be starting with this Hyundai Scarifier. Got a lawn to scarify, a really bad thatchy lawn actually, just about as bad as it gets. So it'll be a super test for one of Hyundai's Scarifiers. This is the 1500 watt motor, so the smallest that they do, the least powerful if you like. And they've also got an 1800 watt version of this and also their petrol version, but for domestic use, and this is designed for domestic use. This is the setting we're going to be testing it in. So first thing I noticed when we opened the box to take it out was actually how big it is. I've used a few electric or cabled scarifiers in the past, and actually they've been quite small, felt quite light. This is quite a unit. It's actually got a 36 centimetre scarifying deck, that's about 14 inches. If you get the 1800 watt motor, then you get 38 centimetres, about 15 inches worth. But it is substantially bigger than what I was expecting and ones I've previously used. They've got a 45 litre grass catcher on the back, and we're going to see how well that does for scarifying in a little while. And you'll also notice at the front here we've got the raking cassette. So underneath at the moment we've got solid hardened steel scarifying cassette, which is going to rip the thatch out, but the other cassette you can use for raking, picking up debris off the lawn and leaves that have fallen. That cassette's right there as well, and I'll be testing that back at mine actually a little bit later because I've got some leaves that I need to collect. So really versatile machine, got 5 different cutting heights, minus 12 centimetres to get really deep. You got -9, -6, -3, and then there's a +10 setting, and that +10 setting really is for the rake, because you can see how long the tines are on that rake. So just be careful when you're setting this machine up that you don't try and go too deep. You don't want to bog the motor down because it will start to burn out, and really you want to do it while it's pretty dry. And if you are going to scarify with this machine, Hyundai recommend that the grass is no longer than 40 millimetres, just so the motor can get through the grass. But that's standard practice when you scarify anyway. You would cut the grass as short as you could. If you're going to use the rake, then your grass doesn't want to be any longer than 75 centimetres, but that is pretty long, and I'll be surprised if any of you who cut your lawns regularly have a lawn that is that long. Apart from that, it's a fairly standard design. You've got the safety release at the top, so you push in the red button, hold the lever, and the tines will start to spin, and as it propels itself across the surface, you just want to offer it a little bit of resistance so those tines do start to pull the thatch out of the garden. But First impressions, pretty good. We're going to plug it in now and see how it goes. So some of you might be thinking, why am I going to buy a scarifier to use once or twice a year? And that's where this machine comes in really useful. So yes, you got your scarifying cassette for kind of April, May time, depending on the weather, and then again at the end of summer, early autumn for your scarifying. But actually with the rake cassette there as well, you can use it every week for picking up debris off the lawn before you mow, especially if you're using a cylinder mower. And the final little trick that this machine's got is, because of the adjustability on the height of it, you can actually use a scarifying cassette, set it on quite a high setting so it just tickles the surface of the soil, and you can use it to verti-cut your grass. We've got another video on verti-cutting which I'll link to in a moment, but that is a really great practice that you can do every couple of weeks, even every month, and will really benefit your lawn. So you can use it twice a year for scarifying, every week for raking, and every month for verti-cutting. A really useful machine. For the few days a year that you're not actually using the machine, it does come with a nice wall mount where you can hook it up off the garage floor. It kind of trifolds back on itself and ends up as a really small package, so it's out of the way. And it's electric powered, so it's not petrol or battery, it's electric powered, so it will go on as long as you need it to. And that cable that you got here is a 10-metre cable. Obviously plugging that into an extension cable means that you could get a lawn this size done quite comfortably. It's recommended for small to medium lawns, so anything up to about 300 square metres really, this will absolutely do fine. The 1500 watt motor is retailing for around about £125 at the time of this video, and the 1800 watt motor is only about £30 more actually. We'll decide later whether we think it's worth the extra investment to the 1800 watt motor. So it's taken us about 20 minutes, I think, to do this little part of the garden. Probably less than that actually, probably about 12 minutes to be fair. We started with the box on, the grass collector on to start with. We were pretty much getting one run in before we had to empty it. Now that's not saying that the grass collector box isn't big enough, because I think if it got any bigger, it'll start to imbalance the machine, the tines will start to lift anyway. But I just don't think it's suitable for scarifying. I think if you're scarifying, you're better off leaving the thatch on the surface and then raking it up or blowing it up. Just because there isn't actually so much of it. And this lawn actually is about as bad as it gets for thatch at this point. So the fact that this 1500 watt scarifier is getting through it, absolutely fine. I've used a couple of older ones of these, not the Hyundai ones especially, but I've used some older versions and they just seem to struggle through here. A couple of times the 1500 watt motor did start to kind of bog down a little bit, but like I say, this is about as bad as it gets. So the 1800 watt motor would fly through this. So I'm really super impressed with this so far, and you can see, we'll have a look around in a moment, just look how much thatch it's pulled up. I can see we've got loads of moss in there, dead moss, because it was treated with our turf rise treatment about 7 to 10 days ago. So we've got some black moss from the iron that we've put in there. We've got some weeds that we can see that are dying from the dicamba Mecopropty 4D that we've all put down, and actually that's done a really great job. So the next bit for this lawn will be to rake it all up. Ideally, if you're doing a full lawn renovation, you'd hollow tine it, you'd seed it, you'd fertilise it, just like we have in our other videos. But actually what we're going to do here is we're just going to give it some of our autumn fertiliser. It's got loads of potassium to help it get winter hardy. It's got magnesium to green it up, and it's got some calcium as well, just to help the cell structure. And we're not actually going to put any more grass down. We're just going to let it breathe, and the major lawn renovation here will be done in the spring. But for now, this 1500 watt Hyundai Scarifier has done an absolute treat down here. So finally, last thing what I do now is collect all this up. We've actually got another piece of kit. You'll see a review in a different video, this Hyundai leaf blower vacuum and shredder. I'm just going to put it through its paces now, see how this deals with actually blowing the thatch into some areas. Hopefully we can blow it and then just use the lawn mower on the other bits. But yeah, let's see how that goes. Well, there we go, on one of the hottest days of the year, 33 degrees. We've been scarifying this lawn, and I've got to be honest, I am really quite impressed with this machine. Like I say, I'm used to using petrol ones, the super powerful, really robust machines, but for a domestic home user, you don't need a lot more than this machine. You do need a little bit more though. Dan and I have been using it today, and one thing we have discovered is that motor, 1500 watt motor, is good, but we would definitely pay the extra 20 quid and go for the 1800 watt motor. And the reason being, when you get down through that thatch, when we're doing a really nice deep scarification, you want to create these grooves in the soil where you'll put the seed and it will sit down into those grooves. And on a couple of occasions, say where it got really mossy, the motor did start to slip a little bit. But if you're somebody who's actually regularly scarifying your lawn once or twice a year, the 1500 watt may be perfect for you, but I would go and pay the extra money for the 1800 watt. It's done a brilliant job. Serious amount of thatch has come out of this garden. I mean, we mean a lot. It has worked really hard, and I'm looking at loads of moss, dead weeds. It's done a brilliant job. So what I would say with this machine is, remember what it's designed for. It is designed for domestic use. It is cabled, so as long as you're happy to manage that cable, you find yourself at a really good machine. We're going to rate this at 4 out of 5 stars. So visit the website www.mode.uk, DIY lawn care subscription. We've got packages for everyone. If you want just a nice lawn or you want the best lawn in the street, we've got the right package for you. You can also buy your Hyundai gear from that website as well if that's something that you want to do. Lawnmowers, scarifiers, a whole range of products for you. You can also download our free lawn care treatment calendar, and that will tell you what time of year you want to be scarifying, seeding and fertilising. So if you found this video useful today, thumbs up, give it a like. Also share it as well. Share it with your friends, share it on Facebook. Really get a message out there. We're trying to grow our audience at the moment, and that will really help us keep producing really useful content for you. If you hit the bell notification as well, it'll notify you when we've produced some new videos, and we're doing that at least once a week at the moment. And if you want to see more about lawn renovation, where we did a complete lawn renovation in loads of detail a couple of weeks ago, click up here. And if you want to see more review products of the Hyundai equipment, then you can click down here. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.